Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of the Fishing Teacher, and much appreciate you guys taking some time to check the video out. Today we're going to be giving some tips and advice on fishing probably one of the most hottest baits in fishing in general the last 5 years, and that's these little bitty small rib swim baits. I'm going to show you guys how to rig them, what to look for, how to set them up, and why they're so effective and when they work. So okay guys, let's get into this. Now there's a lot of different variations. A lot of different companies make just a small little rib swim bait. It's basically just a 2.5-inch bait. It's got a little paddle tail on it. Like I said, a lot of different variations, but this basic style has been copied and duplicated by a lot of different companies out there. It's pretty simple to rig up. The way they like to fish it, number one, is with the 1/8-ounce jig head. This is the Mega Bass Okashira jig head. Actually, this is a little Kitech swim bait. And also, guys, I'll put the Baitworks link in the description, and I'll link these in there if you guys are interested in trying them. Using that link's a good way to support the channel here. But basically what you want to do is just come in on the top here in the middle of it. And one of the things that's really important is to go slow and take your time to rig this thing perfectly straight. Because if you don't come out perfectly straight, as far as in the center, when you bring the hook back out like this, the bait won't run straight. So really take your time to get it where it's perfectly straight like that in line. That way the bait's going to run straight in line. So here's the way it looks like, guys. It looks like a little minnow. That's why it's so effective. And this thing is not good, not only a bass, but any species of fish will hit this thing. You know, white bass, walleye, pike, perch, catfish, drum. You can catch everything on it. Like I said, there's probably been more fish caught on this setup than any other out there. Okay, so let's first of all, we'll talk about what you want to fish it on as far as equipment, then we'll talk about what to look for. This is a light line technique. Most of the time I'm fishing it on 6-pound test, fluorocarbon line, 6.5, 7 foot long bait or spinning rod. You want to use spinning rod all the time on this. And there's a couple different ways that you want to fish it, depending upon the water clarity and how deep you're fishing. So let's talk a little bit about first about where, and then I'll talk about the retrieve. The best places to fish these things are on any type of a point, secondary point, main lake point, any type of point. You can't go wrong with it. Points are natural areas that fish gravitate to feed on most of the time. Now you can catch them just going down the bank on the thing. I'm not saying you can't catch them any other places, but it's very hard to beat points. So if you're on a body of water you don't know much about, just go to any main lake or secondary point and start fishing with this thing on there. Really good way to start out. But what you want to do is you got to first determine how deep the fish are going to be. Now, sometime on these points, the fish are going to be on the bottom, and sometimes they're going to be suspended. And if you're not really familiar with what that means, is if you have a body of water that's got fairly clear water, like water visibility of over 3 feet, and you've got deep water nearby, a lot of times the bait fish, like the shad, they will swim at different depths around those points. So some of the shad the water may be, say, for example, 20 foot deep on the end of a point, and the shad may be swimming around there 10 foot underneath the water, just roaming around, feeding on plankton and algae, and those bass will be following them. So in general, what you have is the clearer water lake that you have, the cleaner the water, the more susceptible the fish are to, suspending out there, chasing those shad schools. So what I like to do, here's my general rule of thumb. If the water visibility is under 3 feet, I like to concentrate in less than 10 foot of water, so that, and the fish aren't going to suspend as much. So say, for example, it's 2 foot clarity. You can see this far down in the lake. I'll get at my boat like in 10 to 15 feet of water, and I'll fan cast around the point. I'll throw it out there. I'll let it hit the bottom, and I'll just start slow reeling like that. Now, if the water is cleaner, I may move out to like put my boat in 20, 25 foot of water, and I'll start out fan casting around the point end of the sides, and I'll throw it out there, and I'll count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just start slow reeling like that. If I do that for 10 minutes or so, not getting bites, I'll throw it out there. I'll count it to 10, let it go down to 10, start slow reeling it. If that's not working, sometimes I'll throw it out there in 20 foot of water, let it go to the bottom, and then just start slow cranking it like that. So you really just have to experiment, as far as knowing how deep the fish are. And a lot of times you can look at your depth finder and see if you're seeing much activity. But to retrieve on this thing, guys, it's very simple. That's why anyone can fish it. All you have to do is throw it out there and just wind it in. What you want to try to do is you want to try to fish it just fast enough to get this tail wiggling. You don't want to fish it too fast. If you fish it too fast, it's not going to stay straight. It'll turn off to its side like that. So fish it slow enough to where it runs just straight like that through the water. And like I said, just experiment with it. You know, if you're not getting them on the points, you know, try some rocky banks or some sandy banks, or maybe go into the back end of the coves and fan cast around out there. It's just a matter of experimentation. But guys, you can't go wrong with it. As far as getting bites and just getting a lot of bites in the boat, a little finessey swim bait is probably one of the top lures that you can fish. Colors, you know, it's usually some type of a shad pattern. Sometimes I like to put a little dip of chartreuse dye on the tail. It helps out a little bit. But it's really fun bait to fish and catches a lot of fish. So anyway, I hope it helps out. We'll see you guys later.